back to another Minecraft Conquest Reforged video. I am the Kinder Knight, and once again we are back in Roostonshire, and I have to say that our town has really taken shape over the past couple of months. It really feels lively, and it is all coming together nicely. And so in today's episode, we will be building the town's chapel right here on this hill, kind of at the foot of our castle here. It's really the perfect spot for a chapel, and so when this building is finally erect, you will notice that it will be visible from any part of this town. And so the chapel would undoubtedly have a big impact on the lives of our townspeople. And so without further ado, I'm going to cue up the time lapse, and afterwards I'll be back to give you guys the tour of the chapel grounds. So I hope you're comfy wherever you are. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the time lapse. Alright guys, we are back, and as you can see, our chapel sits almost majestically on its hill. But before I give you guys the tour, I want to give you guys a little bit of lore on this building. The original chapel was founded and built here towards the end of the 10th century by an overzealous knight named Markov, who was in the service of the king at the time, Larousse. After many months of skirmishes, Markov felt that the true key to uniting and pacifying the newly founded kingdom under one banner would be through a more peaceful method. It would be through the faith. Markov partitioned many letters to the king asking for his support in this endeavor, but the king could not lend his aid because not only did the king feel that the indigenous people were barbaric savages, possibly incapable of conversion, but also the fact that due to the ongoing war, Larousse had no extra coin to spare for Markov's endeavors. So then Markov would try to enlist aid in other places. He went to the lord of the growing settlement of Finalstan, later known as Roostonshire, but the lord also had no money to spare due to the expenses of the settlement, guards, and its upkeep. But he could offer a plot for the building as long as Markov could pay the taxes on it. Sometime later, while resting, Markov had a vision that would later inspire him to sell all of his worldly possessions and to use the proceeds to pay for the plot and the building of the chapel. Markov eventually gave up his knighthood to devote his life to the faith and pacifying the natives peacefully. Years later, Markov eventually died while attempting to convert a tribe of hostile Pegs. Markov's body was then eventually recovered by a small band of newly converted Pegs, where his body was then venerated and given a proper burial. From this point forward, he was known as Saint Markov. The first chapel built here by Markov was originally built of wood, but towards the end of the 11th century, it was eventually rebuilt in stone by the Lord of Roostonshire. He thought that by beautifying the old chapel, it could serve as a means to attract travelers as well as pilgrims yearly, which would bring in and bolster his income. The original resting place of Saint Markov was then excavated, his remains exhumed, then relocated and buried under the newly built stone chapel, where travelers and pilgrims alike journey yearly to pay tribute and receive a blessing. And there you have it, you guys. A little bit of lore on this place. So now let's go ahead and get on with the tour and check out this chapel. So we're going to go ahead and make our way up. And the first thing we see, we have a basin of water right here, because the priest would want to wash his hands, or even the town people before they come in, they would want to kind of wash their hands before they enter. So let's go ahead and enter. And as we come in, and as you guys can see, I put a lot of detail into this place, but at the same time, I didn't want to go too over the top, because this is still generally a basic style chapel. It's a bit of an upgrade from what it once was, but it's still very simple. And right here, this rope right here is attached to the bell way up there in the tower, and the priest would basically get up, will start his morning at 6. He will have his breakfast and be here to ring this bell by 7:30, where by that point he would ring it twice, and that would signify the start of everyone's day. And at the end of the day, around 8:30, he would ring this bell 3 times, and by that third ring, anybody found out in the streets without a torch or a light can be arrested or fined. So that's just a little bit of lore on how that works with the bell tower. And then over here we have a little altar. And then if we go up over here, this is where the priest or the abbot would give his lectures, his mass, or whatever you want to call it. He would stand up here and he would preach to his congregation right there. And then we're gonna go ahead and make our way through here, and as you see, there's also plenty of seating for the people of this town to sit. But if we go up these stairs right here, you can see that we have a special area for the Lord of Roostonshire and his family, and this is where they would sit during those lectures or mass. And they have the best seats in the house, as you can see right here. And so before we leave the chapel, there's one more little secret place in here I want to show you guys. This is a very important spot that only the abbot or the priest and his monks and maybe the Lord of Roostonshire knows about. And this is due to in case of a siege, and in case if not everyone is able to make it into the castle in time, the priests would gather everybody into this chapel and take them down here to where they can hide out during the siege and hopefully be safe. And also, this is also where the bones or remains of our Saint Markov are buried. And as you see, this chest right here contains his remains as well as his last most precious item right there, his a relic, I guess you can call that. And this is just basically a small little crypt and stuff, but again, this would be secret and hidden away from most people. So that's that. And so now we're gonna go ahead and make our way outside the chapel. That's pretty much it. It's a nice small little chapel, but I feel that it fits the character of this town very well. And so let's go ahead and make our way outside, and let's go check out the rest of the chapel grounds. And so want to add, guys, that this is still a work in progress. There's a lot of things I still need to add, a lot of atmosphere I still want to add to these areas, but for the sake of this video, I think that it's coming along quite well enough for me to be able to show you guys what I was able to come up with so far. So right now we're at the cemetery, and as you see right here, here's a grave that's been dug for burying someone. Maybe someone just died, so the priest and his monks prepared a burial place. So basically right here, this is where people would be buried, but not just anyone. Like the common people of this town probably wouldn't be buried here. These plots would generally be reserved for, say, knights or important people or merchants that had the money or the coin to be able to afford the plot. So, you know, maybe a guard who died in the service that was honored will have a place buried here. But other than that, these places would be reserved for people who have the coin, who come from families that can afford it. So over here, we just have a few more plots, and again, I plan to add more and just kind of build up the atmosphere, but I think it's coming along well enough that I just kind of want to show you guys what I came up with so far. So this is just the cemetery, you know, making good use of most of the space I have. I'm trying to put to good use and give it practical use, I should say. And so now we're gonna go ahead and make our way back to the front of our chapel and check out some of the other assets we have on this property. All right, and over here to our left, as you guys can see, we have a granary, and this is the chapel's granary, and this is where the people of Roostonshire will come to pay tribute, because by law they're required to pay a tribute to the priest and his monks by some form of grain offering or some form of food. So all that food would be stored here, and during times of famine, when it's not as much food prevalent, the priest would be able to provide people who need it the most with a meal or grain or whatever that they would require during those times. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and head on down this pathway right here. And we're gonna go over here and check out the little garden. This is the priest's garden where his monks would maintain this. They have the basic crop growing here. You got some cabbage and some bean, and they would keep that maintained. And over here we have a barn where we have some livestock. It's not finished yet. I'm still figuring out exactly what I want to do with this, but this is a barn so where they can keep animals and, you know, have meat as well. So one thing I want you guys to notice is how this is built. It's built on a slant, so to speak, how the earth kind of slants, and I think that looks really cool because it kind of gives it a more realistic feel and kind of look to the area. And over here we just have a couple of wood or log coverings to keep our logs dry, because we wouldn't want those to get wet. And over here we have, of course, an outhouse for our priests, so they have somewhere to relieve themselves. And let's go ahead and actually before we head inside, let's go ahead and look at this right here. Right here we have another dove cove, and we have a chicken coop for some chickens. And so our priests and monks have everything they need here to sustain themselves and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and check out the interiors of their house. And as we come inside, we see that they have a place to prepare their meals. In fact, the monks here are responsible for all the medial chores, such as preparing the meals for the priests and taking care of the animals and the crops. So they will cook all their meals here, and they have places for storage up at the top. And then, of course, they have a little table here to sit down and eat their meals. And over here, they have a keg of maybe some ale or mead or some form of wine, so they can obviously quench their thirst. So that's pretty much what they have in this little area. It's very moderate and very minimalist. After all, they are priests and monks. They don't need too much, just the basics in life. So we're gonna go ahead and check out their bedroom area. And as we enter, we have a bed here, which would be probably the priest or abbot's bed. And over here where we see these bunk beds, that would be where the two monks would sleep. And as you see, one of the monks have some notes on the wall, and maybe he's taking notes from a book or tome, from a passage, and he wants to memorize them, so he posts them right there so he can maybe read them while he's in bed. Of course, there's lots of books around because, again, these men would want to read, or they would know how to read, and they would practice reading and writing and practice memorizing passages from their sacred tomes. So that's pretty much it. They have a little desk for sitting and writing and all that stuff. So very moderately decorated. Again, they're priests, they're minimalists, they don't need too many luxuries in life. Part of their devotion is to show that they can go without. So that's pretty much it, you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Alright, so that was our video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We are really wrapping this place up here. Not much left to do here other than just a lot of off-camera kind of work. So anyways, guys, I think we have about a couple more videos to go before we are completely finished with this project. And it's been a blast. I really enjoy it, and I hope you guys do too. And also, as always, I hope I was able to provide you guys with some inspiration. And if so, please consider subscribing to the channel. Give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to turn on your red notification bell so you don't miss any future Minecraft Conquest Reforged videos. Also, drop a comment below if you feel so inclined to. Let me know what you think of this project. Let me know what you think of Roostonshire. This has been The Kinder Knight, and I bid you a farewell.